So, I think I just witnessed the best use of a favor in the history of Shadowrun. Anyone want to hear how our meat shield cashed his chips in with the local VP of Ares? Yes. So, I'm gonna try and keep this brief. This ain't no tale for the ages, but I'll at least fill in a little backstory. Our party meat shield is Bort. It was originally Abort, but that name didn't last more than a minute. He is the result of a certain player randomly deciding I'm going to make a biker troll, and then getting a bit more into it than anyone expected. He is built, despite all logic, on the assumption that his purpose in every run is to run over or crash into something with his motorcycle, which he will happily pay to have rebuilt or replaced after every single wreck. Of course, he does other stuff that's actually useful, but that's the general theme we're working with here. He's a big, tough troll who absolutely fucking loves big bikes and muscle cars. How he earned a favor from a rising star in Ares was during our second run, which involved a generic gang of carjackers, when some stray high-caliber gunfire was directed towards what the GM offhandedly described as a really fancy Mustang, and Bort decided to take something like 7 bullets for an unoccupied car. He later admitted that he thought he'd be allowed to keep it. The GM wasn't having any part of that, but he felt like rewarding him for a genuinely funny moment at the table. Well, once the run was over, and the documents that had been in one of the other car's trunks had been returned to their relieved owner, we decided to call the local cop corp and collect any bounties for the gangers or stolen cars in the chop shop, which led to a certain Ares exec hearing about how his baby had been heroically saved. The guy actually showed up at the street dock where Bort was being treated, personally thanked him, and gave him a contact number in case he could ever help repay the favor. We thought it was an amusing way for the DM to reward Bort's player, and just filed the Ares guy away as a contact in case we needed him. Now, fast forward 8 runs to present day. The team's come a long ways, there's been some turnover, but Bort is still there, riding his increasingly expensive bike around, and his Ares contact has matured as well. We're planning our first real AAA run, an extraction against Renraku, when our infiltrator fucks up big time while scouting the location and leads a counterintelligence team right fucking to us. After a brief, very bad encounter, we all bail, the idea being to split up and go into hiding until we can make another attempt. Cue 2 sessions of cat and mouse as we all try to stay alive and shake our pursuit. The thing is, unlike some of our more paranoid characters, Bort doesn't have a designated bolt hole, so he thinks on the problem, while dodging pursuit vehicles and aircraft on his bike, and decided to take a note from a previous run where we found this fugitive hiding in a high-security you-store-it unit. You know, the sort that come with free insurance and advertise as troll-proof. I'm sure you can see where this is going. So 2 days later, Bort is still in his storage unit, chowing down on MREs, wishing he'd sprung for a bigger camp toilet, and growing terminally bored of the limited entertainment options available on his burner comlink, when a message appears in the dead drop he's been watching, directing everyone to be at a certain place in 5 hours. This is when Bort realized 3 things. It is 2 a.m., high security you-store-it units cannot be opened after hours, and the manager isn't answering his comlink. He tried to break the door down, he really did, and when that failed, he gave noisemaking a shot to see if he couldn't get the night security guys to let him out, which only got a pair of security drones stationed outside his unit. So, temporarily defeated, Bort goes back to his comm and tries to figure out who his burner comlink can reach that wouldn't be under Renraku surveillance. And that's how our team's meat shield burned his favor with the Ares Seattle Vice President of Operations. We had no words. The run just had to be called off for the night after he called the man and asked for an extraction, and going through half the expected from which corp, how deep, what's the security like, before hesitantly admitting it was from a closet he'd locked himself into. Best night of my life. This recording has been brought to you by my kind supporters over on Patreon. Thank you all for your support.